So now we've had the idea, we've hired a team, we've fired a couple, we're moving forward. Now we got to lead them, right? We got to inspire people. So maybe Steve or Chantel, talk about kind of your leadership style and what you've learned over the years and just how to kind of improve and be the most effective leader you can be.
Well, I feel like for me personally, I ended up adopting a style that was effective for me. So growing up in what I consider growing up in retail, while I loved what I did, I was not necessarily inspired by how people led a lot of those teams, which was sort of putting fear into people. There was a lot of yelling, cursing. You could hear people screaming down hallways in buying offices. It was fascinating. And I don't think that you should be afraid when you're in a leadership position, whether you're a CEO or leader of a team. Don't be afraid of being nice. So I will say that's one thing that I've found, that once you start to kind of climb that corporate ladder, there's this feeling of, oh, I've got to be really stern with my team and like tell them exactly what to do. And if someone does something bad, you absolutely need to take care when there's a problem. But I wouldn't be afraid of doing things also in a nice way. I've fired lots of people, and I've done it in a very nice way. But in terms of like true leadership style, I would say that I like to be someone who also gets into the weeds. And I don't think that you can do that at every single stage of the company, but I do think that leading by example is really important, because I do want to focus on inspiring and also empowering people. I mean, the mission of Chloe and Isabel is to empower female entrepreneurs. So if we're not, in fact, empowering people within our own organization, it'd be really hard for us to be able to have people believe in our model. I think that's kind of potentially a startup thing too. You don't have the time to micromanage anyone. So if you have people in roles and you don't trust that they can do the job, chances are you will in fact outgrow them, because you can't necessarily micromanage any function in the business.
And Steve, if you had to give one tip on leading a company, what is it? Hand that man a microphone. Never mind, he's got one.
I don't know if look, I question all the time if I am a good leader or not. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I managed Linkshare very different than I managed a Collective Eye. They're very different companies with very different personalities, going after very different missions. So at Linkshare, there was, so Linkshare, we basically empowered all these websites to be entrepreneurs. So we saw ourselves as a leader of not just our internal company, but of this massive entrepreneurs are out there trying to gain independence and do their passion. And so, you know, you think about your company very differently when you're out there trying to figure out, okay, how do I get someone who's living in Montana, who's put up a website on, you know, some Dell tablet, who this is their passion, and they're looking to you to basically enable them to do their own business. So it's this weird thing where whatever culture you create at your company trickles all the way through, and they trickle back up and change you, because they all have my cell phone. I mean, I put my cell phone number out there. They would call me at home and tell me what I'm doing poorly all the time. And so I don't know if it worked for us at Linkshare. At Collective Eye, we're empowering salespeople who struggle all day long to, you know, they have to hit a number and no one really helps them. And even though they're the funding of most companies, they're treated like overpaid brats. So you've got to find a culture that speaks to them. And so I think you're trying to craft a leadership structure that surpasses your own walls, if that makes any sense. But I don't know if we're doing it well. You only know at the end if it seems like it did a good job. That's great.